one, we are going to Amazon Prime Video for the latest release they have coming out, and it is Tom Clancy's Without Remorse, starring Michael B. Jordan and Jodie Turner-Smith, Jamie Bell, among others. And so I'm going to start out by talking about this one. This was directed by Stefano Sollima, who is probably best known as the director of the Sicario sequel, Day of the Soldado. And he's taking on this Tom Clancy story written by Taylor Sheridan, so a fairly noteworthy screenwriter. And we meet Michael B. Jordan's character, who is John Kelly, who is a Navy SEAL overseas in Syria, and goes on a mission that goes a little haywire. They run into some things they weren't necessarily expecting, which lead to some tragedy once they get back, as his team is getting hunted. And he survives, but others close to him do not. And he is out to find out what happened and find out without remorse. And that's where you get your title. Jodie Turner-Smith plays the head of his Navy SEAL team. Jamie Bell plays a CIA operative that it tags along with some stuff that you definitely think is a little shady at times. Guy Pearce is the Secretary of Defense, and it was bizarre watching him walk into the room. It's like, oh, I didn't know Dan Aykroyd was in this picture. But it's always good to see Guy Pearce. This story, as you get going into it, you realize they're setting something up here. They're setting up a classic franchise of Tom Clancy stories that they're going to want to expand on from this. It was an okay start to that. I'm gonna give it 3 stars, kind of a lower 3 stars. It was entertaining. It felt like I needed to be in a theater watching it. It felt like a theater movie. But there's something just fun about a great Tom Clancy story with all the twists and turns and bends and all that stuff in it. Michael B. Jordan does awesome, and it's cool to see him getting a franchise like this that he might be heading up moving forward. And I really enjoyed it. The action was fun. The story was it took some twists and turns that didn't really make a whole lot of sense, and I think it was probably about 5 minutes too long, as it went somewhere at the very, very end that it really didn't need to go. But yeah, I'm gonna give it 3 stars. It was fun. It's like the start of streaming summer blockbuster season, if that's a thing now. Apparently it is. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a good watch. So we're gonna go to Todd next. Todd, what do you think?
You didn't mention there's also a mid-credit scene.
There is a mid-credit scene that totally sets up the whole franchise coming up.
So okay, so John Kelly is a supporting player in Clear and Present Danger and Some of All Fears. So it's just the furtherance of the Jack Ryan extended universe, because everything needs to be part of an extended universe, apparently.
Well, it's Tom Clancy. I mean, Tom Clancy creates his own extended universe here.
Yeah, I guess.
It's all Tom Clancy here.
I mean, I wouldn't have thought it was necessarily a Clancy adaptation, though. It doesn't really feel like it. I feel like they only put his name in the title to, like, appeal to the Amazon subscribers who really like John Krasinski or whatever. But I don't know. It feels like a Taylor Sheridan movie, though, even though he didn't direct it. Like, but it is like a heightened, exaggerated version of that, because his co-writer in this is the writer of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. So the movie has that kind of feel. It feels more about strategy than it is concerned with like drama, and it is less about like cool staging of scenes than it is about like the battles and stuff. The first scene is actually really cool looking, but that's about as far as that gets when it actually feels more like a Sheridan movie. I think Michael B. Jordan does his best to try to make it more than just like a spy action movie, but he can't, because his character is like too unreal. Like, we already have one Jason Bourne, but he's even more of a superhero than Jason Bourne is. I'm starting to question whether Stefano Sollima is actually a good director, because his Sicario sequel, which is also written by Taylor Sheridan, was like a big overblown. And other than that, he's kind of made his name in TV. He did like the Gamora TV show and whatnot. But this kind of feels like a souped-up TV episode, sort of. I mean, it's got all these references to its spin-offness of the Jack Ryan series. And that to the point that I don't know that it really stands alone as its own movie. I think the twists and stuff, it's pretty clear where it's going when they start to introduce certain characters. So the one character I was like pleasantly surprised and like shocked to see was Brett Gelman randomly show up, and I was like, oh, like why is he here for like one scene? But okay. I also think it's weird that it was rated R because I don't think that was supposed to be. Like nothing about it says that it should have been pushed to R because none of the other movies in the series are. They're all PG-13, and other than like a couple like ugly deaths, there's not even blood. Like I don't know why this is rated R, and that probably would have really hurt its box office, honestly, if it was actually released in the theaters. But I think the movie is just a video game. There's no emotional resonance because all the characters are unlikable, and then the few times that they do actually talk to each other, it's just like a dick measuring contest. I think it's not all that removed from Extraction, which we reviewed last year on Netflix.
Yeah.
But it takes itself seriously, or it tries to, which is why it doesn't work. I'm giving it 1.5 stars.
Ooh. Okay. Well, I got it at 3. Todd's got it 1.5. Zach, are you going to split the difference?
I'm not going to split the difference this time. This time I'm all on Team Todd. I echo a lot of what Todd says there. This was a chore for me to watch. It was an hour and 40 minutes. It felt like it was 2 hours and 40 minutes. I'm not really, I will say I'm not really a big Tom Clancy fan. I'm not really a fan of these types of movies. There's absolutely nothing compelling or interesting about the story that's unique. This character of John Kelly is supposed to be ghosting this whole time, right? He's supposed to be this kind of guy who, has people think he's dead. The Russians think he's dead. People don't know about him. Well, he's causing a lot of shit in the street for someone who's dead, okay? He's throwing a gas tank on the car in the Dulles airport, okay? He's driving off highways. He's causing some major shit for someone who's supposed to be a ghost. So let's be clear about that, okay? Another thing I just thought was ridiculous about this movie is apparently John Kelly has the world's strongest lungs. There are 2 sequences in this movie when he was underwater for at least 10, 15 minutes. Like in the movie, it makes no bones about it. Like he is literally underwater for an excessive amount of time.
He's a superhero, like I said.
Absolutely ridiculous. Now, I like that Michael B got jacked up for this movie. He has several gratuitous shirt takeoff or shirt removal scenes. I felt like I was watching, I was on the set of a Matthew McConaughey project without Matt Damon there to do his impression. This movie is just ridiculous. His name is John Kelly. That says all you need to know about the character. Later in the movie, we learn his name is going to change to John Clark. So original, that tells you everything you need to know about the originality, lack of originality about this character. The movie tries to be like clever with this whole, we want to start a war with Russia, but it's like, I mean, it feels very heavy-handed. There's also scenes where there's a scene in this movie where he literally accosts a member of the presidential cabinet in a bathroom, which is guarded. But somehow he gets in the bathroom. And then somehow he manages to accost that member of the president's cabinet outside of the restaurant and hold him hostage when no one knows that he's alive. Okay, give me a freaking break. How many ridiculous scenes now, I know that no one honestly thought about, the logistics of that when they were making this movie very clearly. But if you want me to have any sort of investment in this movie, there has to be a degree of realism. After I turned off this movie, I watched Black Hawk Down was on FX, and I watched that for about 10 minutes. And that is like so much better, trying to do essentially what this movie is trying to do, because it doesn't have the superheroes. It is about people in a real situation, and they're really unsure, and they're scared shitless, and you don't have these stupid freaking action heroes that can take off their shirt, hold their breath underwater, and pretend to be a ghost when really they're just causing a whole bunch of shit. I don't know. I hated this movie. 1.5 stars.
Wow.
It made Nobody look like a masterpiece. Actually, I liked it a little bit more than Nobody because I like Michael B. I thought it was actually more realistic that with the body of Michael B. Jordan, he could cause some of this shit. Bob Odenkirk's not going to beat anybody up on a bus. But if you have Michael B. Jordan on a bus, I could actually see him, beating the shit out of people.
He literally douses himself with water before the scene to make himself look cooler. Or slippery or whatever. I'm not really sure what that was all about.
It was slippery.
But okay, so I read this movie was actually in development since 1993, and it was originally supposed to be Keanu Reeves, and then later Tom Hardy. But it took that long to make, probably because it wasn't a very good story. Like that was when the book was published in 1993. But
well, and we've been kind of dancing around it. It's setting up Rainbow Six. That's what this is all setting up. is getting Rainbow Six into the movie world finally, which is a
Was
story
that a Nintendo 64 game or like in the Super Nintendo game?
Yeah, and well, and it was a book apparently back in the 90s, and
Yeah,
then
I
it
didn't even know
became
that.
the video game, and yeah, now you were getting the movies, but yeah, I don't know. I thought it was fun. There were definitely some parts that were unbelievable, and there were some spots that I was definitely scratching my head like that doesn't make any sense. There's some plot points that are like that makes no sense.
Well, I mean, to me, at times it reminded me of the later Fast and the Furious movies. Like that's what it was becoming with how ridiculous it is, like how much destruction there is, and just like careless destruction of places, and having there be almost no repercussions for it. It's just kind of absurd.
It was like a combination of that, and then throw in some like old school '90s action too. Because I mean, I think it's fair to say that it is Tom Clancy, so go back to Clear and Present Danger, go back to Sum of All Fears, and that kind of vibe. It definitely, I think, brings back a little bit here, for better or for worse.
No one would watch this movie without the words Tom Clancy being in the front of the title.
And Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, that was the main thing that attracted me to the movie, not Clancy. I don't really like any of those movies either. I'm not even a Hunt for Red October fan.
I guess I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about the broader audience, kind of like what Terry was mentioning earlier. But
no,
like,
that's what I said. Like people, because it's on Prime, and that's why. Like, there's the Jack Ryan series on Prime. That's probably why that they bought the rights to do this.
Or maybe Prime just has rights to Tom Clancy.
I feel like Without Remorse sounds like a sitcom from the mid 2000s with Ray Romano or something. Like it sounds like
Without Remorse.
Yeah, or like something with Larry David. Maybe doesn't sound like a Tom Clancy action extravaganza.
Or it kind of sounds like a Bill Burr's stand-up special.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a
There we
Netflix.
go.
It's a Netflix stand-up special. That's exactly it. Without Remorse, perfect.
All right. Well, I kind of liked it. Two of us hated it. We'll see where it goes from here. I think we're at least getting one sequel out of this. I think at least one. We're
Anything
going
to
to
see
get
more
Rainbow
Michael B.
Six.
Jordan. He's one of our best actors. So I mean, hey, if this is how he gets his money, then do it.
Well, and they're I love how they're not even hiding it. I watched a trailer, and in the trailer it starts off by saying, "From Tom Clancy, author of Rainbow Six." I mean, it's like everyone knows this is where it's going.
I didn't even see the preview. That'd be pretty distracting.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a video game movie.
Well, but it was a book that made a great video game, and now they're trying to make it a great movie. So I don't know if we've ever had a story take that route before, of being a book, then a video game, and then a movie.
That's probably the way most people would think of GoldenEye.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Without Remorse. If anything we just said sounds interesting, it's easy to find on Prime Video right now, and they're advertising the heck out of this thing too. So I'm sure you'll hear about it